Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a hidden crisis. And I say hidden because it is literally sitting right in plain sight in our schools, our university lecture halls, and our workplaces. We're going to dive into the fascinating, deeply human, and most importantly, highly actionable science of childhood trauma. We'll look at how early life experiences can physically shape our adult health. And here's the really important part, what it takes to rewrite that biological destiny. So, if you're ready, let's jump right into it.
I want you to picture a young girl. We'll call her Amina. She's sitting alone in a room, and the shadows of raised voices are flickering on the walls. At home, she lives her entire childhood on high alert, dealing with emotional neglect and household dysfunction. Every slamming door, every sudden movement, it triggers this massive surge of adrenaline. Right? This isn't just a tough childhood. This is a state of constant, overwhelming stress that she has to navigate before she even knows how to tie her shoes. And the truly shocking part of all this? Amina's story is absolutely not unique.
70%. Yeah, you heard that right. Nearly 70% of undergraduate students in Malaysia report having at least one of these hidden adverse experiences. Almost 7 in 10 students. A huge chunk of them have even experienced multiple adversities like community violence or emotional neglect. To put that into perspective, look around the next time you're in a crowded room. It's a staggering reality that completely changes how we look at the people around us.
Okay, let's get clinical for just a second. What exactly are we talking about here? We're talking about adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. Basically, these are potentially traumatic events happening in childhood and the teenage years. We're looking at things like physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, plus severe household dysfunction. So growing up with substance misuse, mental health struggles, parental separation, or witnessing violence. When these events happen over and over, they don't just put a child in a bad mood. They fundamentally change how that child grows.
Section 1. The Science of Toxic Stress.
To really get why ACEs are so devastating, we gotta look under the hood at what happens inside the brain when a kid is living on constant high alert. During our early years, the brain is super busy wiring itself up, and it does this in a very strict order. First, the sensing pathways form. Then comes language acquisition. And finally, the higher cognitive functions kick in. But here's where toxic stress acts like a roadblock. The chronic release of stress hormones literally interrupts the sequence. Because the child's brain is so hyper-focused on survival and threat detection, the pathways for complex language and cognitive development end up severely delayed. And the data actually gives us some really clear warning signs when this development is going off track. If a toddler isn't babbling or gesturing by 12 months, or they aren't using single words by 16 months, listen, those aren't just quirky personality traits, they are serious red flags that need professional evaluation. Spotting those early delays in language presents this incredibly vital yet brief window for trauma-informed intervention. It's our absolute best chance to step in and help a child's brain feel safe enough to get back on track.
Section 2. Ripple Effects in Adulthood.
So let's bring Amina back into the picture. Fast forward a decade or so. Amina is now a university student. She's sitting in a crowded library, rubbing her temples, just looking completely overwhelmed. That early developmental disruption, it didn't just magically vanish. It biologically embedded itself into her system. Her early experiences literally altered her gene expression and compromised her immune function. Survivors of ACEs are looking at way higher risks for chronic stuff like heart disease and respiratory issues. And mentally, the toll is huge. The risk of depression and anxiety can be up to 3 times higher. Socially, survivors often deal with physical exhaustion and feeling profoundly ostracized. It's a lifelong trajectory of risk that goes all the way into physical frailty in older adulthood.
Section 3. The Power of Connection.
But here's the good news. The trajectory of toxic stress, it is absolutely not set in stone. Imagine a classmate, let's call her Sarah, notices Amina struggling in that library. Sarah pulls up a chair, gives her a kind smile, and just asks if she's okay. This right here perfectly illustrates a massive breakthrough in resilience research. On one hand, you have the culture of silence, which breeds ostracism, exhaustion, and terrible coping mechanisms. But on the flip side, you have the protective factor. Studies consistently show that having literally just one reliable social support, one confidant who validates your feelings, can sharply alter the negative impact of trauma. Just by being a friend, Sarah is biologically helping Amina's nervous system regulate itself. How amazing is that?
Healing from all this requires something researchers call multisystemic resilience, which is a fancy way of saying it's a team effort. It's not just telling survivors to toughen up or take a bubble bath. It's a multidimensional approach that mixes a person's internal grit with external access to community resources. Actually, this exact framework is being tested right now in Malaysia through programs like the R2 Resilience Building Intervention. It's a trial that pairs self-exploration with active resource finding and real, tangible social support. Section 4, Building Resilient Communities. Which brings all of this right back to you and me. You don't need a medical degree to help. Building resilient communities means we all have the power to break that culture of silence. Your social support could literally be the foundation of someone's healing. It comes down to 3 steps. First, observe. Notice when someone looks exhausted or isolated. Second, listen. Hear them out without judging or trying to instantly fix their life. Just validate them. And third, connect. Help them navigate towards real resources like a university counselor, a child activity center, or a helpline. Observe, listen, connect. It really is that straightforward. Now, a quick reality check. As magical as our one-on-one support is, it absolutely has to be backed up by the big picture: systemic public health investments. We need routine developmental screenings for toddlers. We need easily accessible family support programs and positive parenting education so we can stop trauma before it even starts. And we need massive collaboration across the board. Educators, healthcare workers, social workers, everyone needs to pull in the exact same direction to create real intergenerational healing. Because at the end of the day, this whole explainer is about changing the story. Whether you are a policymaker, a doctor, or just a classmate in a library like Sarah, your willingness to step up and break the silence matters. Be the support that changes a life. I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on today. If the science proves that having just one single confidant is enough to alter the biological trajectory of childhood trauma, who in your life right now might be waiting for you to simply sit down, listen, and change their story forever? Think about that. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.